What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of Peaktime Speaktime. Today, our guest, musician extraordinaire. This guy has so much going on. He can play any instrument that I can think of. Well, I'm not sure. I'm just saying anything, but I think he can play a lot of instruments. Right? We have here today Stephen Mathurin, aka Horseface. So yeah, I met this guy in the gym a couple times, but every time this guy name comes up, it's always something good. Everybody loves to be in this guy's presence because of his musical talent. Maybe for other things, but that's what I have heard, the musical talent. So introduce yourself and let's have a chat.
All right. It's nice to be here. My name is Stephen Mathurin. Again, like I said, aka Horseface on the music scene. If you hear someone call me Stevie, know that's a home person.
Right,
someone who's from where I'm from and that kind of stuff, who was brought up together with me. And yeah, basically just a musician, a humble musician trying to bring music to the world, and get better at it all the time, get better at it every day. So it's my pleasure to be here and to be interrogated by you guys.
Interrogated, you said. All right. So here's what. Right? I want to know, because I have tried music. I have tried the guitar, the keyboard. I didn't get anywhere, right? I guess, my persistence was in other things, photography, little things like that.
Yeah.
But I like the music scene. I like to sing. I like different things, But just tell us a little bit about your journey. And if you had any challenges, or if it was just like easy because this was what you wanted to do, and just learning. I know there's a learning curve to it.
Yeah,
it's difficult.
There is.
So I know you're a guitarist. I know you play the drums.
I play drums. I play bass.
Yeah, and you sing. So
So
just tell us a little bit about it.
I discovered music. In the church, Pentecostal church in Denver, and there. When I started playing drums.
Right.
My cousin Ray Fenelon is presently in the Royal St. Lucia Police Band. He was the one who introduced me to playing those instruments. And from drums, I was playing guitars. Then I picked up bass. And then there was the keyboard. Now, in the church, there were multiple musicians playing those different instruments, but only one person playing keyboards.
Right.
So my uncle was a guitarist in the church at the time, Colin Ferdinand, and I was just like, you know what? I'm going to play keyboards. So one Sunday, the keyboardist was late, and usually there's a pre-worship service and stuff like that. And I just went on the keyboards and I started playing like this. This is exactly how I started playing.
Right.
And from that Sunday moving forward, I just stuck with the keyboard, and the one thing, practice makes permanent. You practice the wrong thing, you'll do the wrong thing permanently. You practice the right thing, you'll do the right thing permanently. And because of my love for music, when I got a keyboard, that was it. I just sat there and started practicing thoroughly. It was second nature to me to continue practicing.
Right.
And at that time, there was no YouTube and this kind of thing, so I had to do a lot of listening and transcribing the song, listening to specific parts and all that kind of stuff to play.
But it seems like, there was no YouTube and anything at that time. Yeah. But it seems like the support you had around you, there was a lot of people to look at and learn from them, right?
That too was scarce, to be honest.
Really?
That too was scarce because thankfully in the church we had a neat group of young men. We were very tight together, and we were all pursuing having a band in the church. We called ourselves Revival Generation at the time, and it was still a mixture because everyone wanted to play something,
right?
But again, your willpower, and when something is your gift, your gift added, and you add that discipline and practice to it,
right.
then you will excel. If you're not, even though you're gifted and you don't practice and stuff,
Right.
it makes no sense. So
Right.
it wasn't that kind of support, but I'm assuming since we were always together and we wanted to do that, then me taking the extra time to pursue what I wanted to made
Right.
me come out on top
Okay.
of what, yeah.
So you say practice makes permanent.
Permanent, yes.
Right.
Practice
That's
doesn't make
nice.
perfect.
I like that. I like that.
If you practice the wrong thing, you're going to do the wrong thing
The wrong thing.
permanently. You practice
Makes
the
sense.
right thing, you're
Makes
going to do
sense.
the right thing permanently.
Right.
And then aspire for perfection.
Okay,
you know?
so you said you started off in church.
Yeah.
Right? Let's be a little controversial.
Okay.
Because, I know a lot of musicians, they started off in church.
Yeah.
And I've heard that before and I've seen it.
Yeah.
Right? I've even heard stories where, people, they might go out into the world, like, what people say,
Right.
and do certain things. And when they come back to church, they will tell them, you cannot play. A guy even told me he was on the drum set once.
True.
He ready to play, and it's like, no, you
It
can't.
happens.
It happens. It happens. It happens.
It happened to me.
Yeah.
So.
But it seems like, just being in the environment where in church, like you have the opportunity to learn instruments, to learn to play,
Yes.
sing with a group, sing with a band, a lot of that. And some people want to use that talent to make money.
Yeah.
So then, they figure, okay, whatever else they were doing didn't work out for them, but they have this talent. So why not use it to make some money? And, people move on to things. You find a lot of people going to work on the ship, different things like that. So I heard that you did that.
Yes.
So what happened?
Okay,
Yeah.
so before I went to work on the ship, so what happened was the inaugural Fordor Jazz Festival, they were trying their best to put someone from the village of Dennery
Right.
in the lineup.
Right.
And at the time, the musician that I was, the class of musician that I was and stuff like that, they checked me out. At that time, I was working in the Royal St. Lucia Police Band.
Okay.
And they checked me out and they were like, hey, since you're from Dennery, we want to put you in and we want you to do something. So I gathered a set of musicians who were around me and stuff like that, and we went in to play that show. It was extraordinary pan man Imran.
Right,
Imran
right,
Larry
right.
Panman.
Yes.
Yeah, Larry was on pan. There was Claude Jonas on bass. It was Ray Fenelon on guitar. Ed was on. It was Juan or Ed on drums. I think it was Juan on drums, and myself on keyboards. Henry was on saxophone.
Right.
And we did that thing, and we put a couple of originals together and some gospel songs, and then took it and we went out there and we played. So the following Sunday when I went to church, they were like, no, you're not touching the keyboard today.
That happened to you?
Yeah, that happened to me.
Okay,
So
okay.
you're not touching the keyboard today,
Right.
and blah, 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 and stuff like that, because, and it was a bit discouraging because, I didn't go out there to perform bacchanal music. And
Right.
for me, I did nothing wrong. For them, it was an issue at that time.
Yeah.
But people proceed and they move on. Going to work on the cruise ship
Yeah.
in 2004. That's
Right.
when I did my first gig on the cruise ship. What happened is one guy who was playing in church with me was playing guitar, Harvey King, guitar player, amazing
Right.
guitar player. He checked me and to work with Flum, another bass player, amazing bass player, singer.
Right.
And they were like, yo, making that link for you, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. So Flum drove all the way to Dennery to drop me. At that time, it was CDs, 2 big reels of CDs.
Yeah, the CDs.
And he said and he gave me a list of songs and he said, you have 2 weeks to learn these things.
Wow.
Over 200 songs.
Wow.
To do my first
So
gig on the cruise ship.
okay.
Yeah.
So how did that go? Like you leaving your land gigs,
Yeah.
and move on to a cruise ship where you have to like play every day,
And stuff
sleep
like that.
where you work, wake up. Did that change your whole way of life? Did it change like your whole way you saw music? Did you learn a lot?
It did. And contrary to what a lot of people believe, or if you're a cruise ship musician, then you're not really a musician and stuff like that. Let me tell you something about this. Again, discipline and the time you spend into it. And anything you do on a reoccurrence basis, you should, I wouldn't say you should get better at it. Depends on the mentality you put towards it.
It's true.
Working on the cruise ship made me learn so many different genres of music, so many different styles of culture, so many different people you encounter every day. So you have to deal with different personalities. You need to understand how to read a crowd, know how to speak properly to a crowd, your diction when you speak and all this kind of stuff. You know, we could come there and speak like two solutions. Yeah, partner, you heard, and stuff like that. But the moment you touch the stage, how you adopt so everyone could understand what you're saying and this kind of stuff. So on a cruise ship, I learned a lot and developed myself as a musician, as a performer, even as a person as well, because it takes a lot of humility to be living with complete strangers of different cultures and this kind of stuff, you know.
But for me, I know a little bit about that because I did 6 to 7 months on the ship. But as a photographer. And for me, it was different, just learning all the different cultures. You know, I'm an outgoing person. I'm friendly. I could talk to anybody. But, you know, me just being there, having to share a room with a complete stranger. You know, like, just learning. And it took me to a different place. You know, it showed me what the world is like. How other cultures apart from Caribbean and different things, you know, because I had friends from South Africa, India, you know,
Romania,
exactly,
everywhere.
So everybody is different. They speak different. You have to speak different to them. They might not understand, and you have to learn to work as a team with all these people, even if they're not in your department. There's a lot of things because you have to learn like different fire drills. You have to do different things, and there's so much. So you guys as musicians, what I saw was, hey, these musicians getting it good. Like, I'm working
3 hours.
I'm working 14-hour days, carrying backdrops and, you know, taking pictures here, standing for 4 hours straight. And these guys just working like 2 to 3 hours.
3 hours and then we're going back again.
Yeah, you're liming on every pot. You know, I only saw the front of the Bahamas.
Front of it.
And these guys are all on the beach everywhere. You know,
everywhere.
like, they're places I used to choose to sleep. And not go out because I was so tired.
Because you're so tired.
And them guys going out. You know, like
so you see, it's generally a misconception about a musician's life, though. Our 45 minutes to 3 hours on stage doesn't depict the amount of work we have to do. First of all, especially if you're a musician who doesn't read music, it's even more tasking on you because you have to take that song, listen to it, transcribe, extract your parts and know all the other parts for the other people. Well, at least me, when I'm listening, I need to know what the bass player is playing, I need to know what the guitar player is playing, and all these things to understand why I'm playing what I am playing.
Makes sense.
Now that in itself takes hours on to do. So basically one song out of a repertoire of over 2,000 plus songs from around the world, different languages and everything in it and stuff like that, you know. If one song takes you at least 3 to 4 hours to proper transcribe, could you imagine what 2,000 songs sound like?
Well, I never thought of it that way.
So people don't see that part of it. And again, your practice time. If you're not practicing, when you get on the stage, for lack of a better word, you sound like crap. You sound like shit.
You'll definitely see it. If
so those hours in practicing, most musicians who excel and become better musicians practice at least anywhere between 4 to 8 hours a day. So now we've done our 9 to 5, and then we're still going to do overtime on the stage, 3 hours.
So what you're saying is all the things that I saw and I thought that you guys were just,
that was just,
you know, you're already new when you're just getting it good.
Yeah, that's just the stage. That's just the stage. Most of the time before we even leave home, you're talking about going into a band room, practicing, and even then putting a band together at home. You have different personalities. Your drummer is this person, your guitar player is this person, and different personalities, and you have to make that work. You understand? So
here's a question. I know for me, you know, there are people on my back on the ship. Like, I had to do this. Did you guys have that, like a music director or something?
Yes.
Where, like, because you said you had to learn the song. So who would know if you're actually doing it and keeping you guys in check?
When I first started, I had a band leader. First, when I went on the cruise ship, my first contract on the cruise ship, I worked 9 months, but I was shit. I sucked, yo. I was a good musician, but I sucked. Why? Because I didn't know the songs. And then again, the same thing I was just telling you. The time you put into practice determines how good you get. Because it was a new platform for me. and experiencing the world. You're seeing people, you're seeing different cultures and all this kind of stuff. You want to experience everything. So my focus wasn't too much there on the music, because in my head I was good enough to play. You know, understand? I heard that song one time, just go and play it. That wasn't. But
so that's the time you was out getting good. That's it.
Yeah. And my contract, I
understand now.
But at the end of the contract, I said to the band leader, let me tell you something. When we go back on that second contract, catch up, you'll have to play. Because I'm not coming back as the weakest link, you understand?
Right.
I go be telling y'all. So when we came home on vacation, we had rehearsals and stuff. And then he sent 5 songs for rehearsal. When we went to the band room, called the song, bang, 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 we got up. He watched me and he's like, I say, yo, that is all the songs you have for rehearsal. We were done rehearsal in about 45 minutes.
Nice.
You understand?
Nice.
And he's like, yeah, boy, you pulling up your weight. I told you I ain't gonna be the weakest link again. Because again, the repetition of doing that same thing over and over, it was like a practice to me as well. So I got better at listening. I got better at understanding why I'm playing with this one and that one, and why their parts coincide this way and that kind of stuff, you know. So yeah, it was. And after that, so I worked with couple bands, Larry and myself. We had a duo on the ship as well, and we used to mash up things. First time they ever saw piano and steel drums play together. And there used to be the theater in front of us and that kind of stuff. But when you see we stood up there playing, the show in the theater used to flop.
Right, because everyone
that was a different sound.
Nice.
And at that time I was in an experimenting time with my playing on a piano. So I used to start rhythms, tapping rhythms on the piano, pulling the strings inside of it and all that kind of stuff, and we would play and rearrange songs and stuff like things like Chariots of Fire, great instrumental songs, played between the pan and the steel drum. So it was something new and fresh. So we did a lot of that. And then I went on to have my own band.
If you have clips of that,
I hope Larry does. I hope Larry does, because I'm not too much of a camera video person, but I'm gonna try and get this.
Try to find that. So maybe you can show the people as well, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So here's what I saw. Speaking of clips, I saw some clips of you playing a sing-along set, piano and people. I saw that. And I found that interesting because I didn't know that side of what you did.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about that.
So I grew up in a home where I was hearing my mom singing and my dad singing. My dad used to be a musician himself, jack of all trades. He played keys, he played guitars, he played drums, and he sang as well. But he never played the bass guitar. I don't know why. He said bass is difficult, which I find to me it's not difficult. If you ask me which instrument I prefer in all those that I play, I would say the bass before keyboards, you know, even though I'm a keyboardist. Yeah, but so that there was always good music in the house, good songs and stuff like that. When I discovered playing piano and singing was because of my love for musicians like Stevie Wonder, Brian McKnight, Billy Joel, Elton John. All these guys play and they sing, and the music they don't play like a keyboard player. Piano singer, what you may call a crooner or something, sounds completely different from just someone who's just a piano player or a keyboard player, because you need to know how to play to fit your voice in there, where your voice shines, and then where the piano takes over, or the space you create for the voice in that. And then it's different as well because there's none of that elements of the drummer over the drummer there, the bass player there, and different people taking different spots. So it's now you naked, you know. And then you need to understand, hey, this crowd, how do I deal with this crowd? How do I keep them entertained for the better of 2 hours? You understand what I'm saying? And so when I discovered doing that, I actually loved it. And you need to be a people's person, because you need to be able to speak to those people and keep them engaged.
Did you like pull a crowd, you know, people come in?
Yeah, I had a good crowd. People passed because it was a different sound, a different accent, a different voice, and different style of playing as well. So they were like, who's that? And it was, hey, a black dude playing the piano in the crooners, and he had a Caribbean accent. So when it came inside there, they were like,
Yeah.
"Oh, let's sit down." And I had a pact.
And you know they love the Caribbean accent.
Of course,
you know?
of course. And they say,
Right,
"Sing
right.
Bob Marley on the piano." Of course,
Yeah.
I did that, but
Right.
I wish I had a recording of it, of that one, of the couple of Bob Marleys that I did playing the piano and stuff. But it was a good vibe. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's take us to the part that let me know who you are, because the production side of everything. You produced, correct me if I'm wrong, you know.
Yeah.
You produced music for like a lot of popular songs that we know. You
Yeah.
can tell us more, you know, for a lot of popular artists. You've made instrumentals.
Yeah.
You know, you've added music to certain songs just to
Yep.
aid other people, you know. Just tell me a little more of that, because this is where we bring it to, you know, where I believe a lot of people know you from.
Okay.
Yeah. Just the whole music scene. And yes, we're talking about the music scene where you've played in the bands, you've done everything. But then the whole production side, where they come in and you record and you know,
do stuff.
And I don't know, are you a writer as well?
I do write.
You
yes,
do
I
writing as well.
write,
So
yes,
tell us about
yes.
the whole production side of everything.
So production for me, when we had a jam band, the jam band we had was Extreme. Extreme still exists right now.
Right.
But when we started Extreme, it was just a set of us from the secondary schools band and who grew up. Most of us were in the police band as well. So we came together and we did Extreme. We were under a band, DN5.
Right.
DN5 saw us juniors and they allowed us to use their band room and stuff. And we had a singer, Kieran Piper was his name.
Yeah, I
Amazing
remember him.
vocalist as well,
I remember
yeah.
him.
So Kieran wanted to record a song, but he wanted basically my style of playing to be on the song. So he came and he was like, "Yo, Os, come and play on the song for me. Come and play on the song." That's where I met Curti Lewis. Stratosphere Productions right now it is, I think it is. Yeah, and when we went there, I played and stuff like that. And again, it was a new sound and fresh sound and stuff like that. So then you're talking about Curti producing people like Ninja Dunn at the time, Kakal, Cupid.
Right.
Practically everybody is passing through there. So I got to meet a lot of people, artists in that kind of stuff who kind of liked the sound and what I was doing at the time. So sometimes I say the twist of our soca music started then that's basically, I would say that's around 2001, 2002,
Right.
where the sound started sounding different.
Yes.
Because I brought in my church kind of feel and the way I was hearing soca music into the studio.
Right.
And being a keyboard player, more synth than percussion and these kind of things, making the music more full and heavy. And Curti was the producer while I was the one creating the instrumentals, or what you may call instrumentals, or rhythms and stuff like that. You know, and that made, so I came from Curti's studio into going into work with Libo.
You worked with Libo.
Yeah, Francis Delma, rest his soul.
Yeah, big up Libo, you know.
And yeah, he created the biggest impact on me in production.
Right.
Because he'd always say, "Nah, horse, you need to listen to it this way, you need to listen that way," and this kind of stuff. And so, you know, there's this song, Cupid had this song, "Go If You Want to Go." The music on that I did.
Okay.
And countless songs. I did a lot of music per se.
Right.
And again, at that time I didn't know music business. I didn't know about royalties. I didn't know about credits. I wasn't fussing about credits. I just wanted to be a musician. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
And then so with Libo, and now occasionally, most of the time, I get tracks to play on and do stuff with Migs Vibes Production right now.
Right.
So for the past couple years, been playing on quite a few tracks and even building certain rhythms and stuff like that, and we share ideas on it, and it goes into full production.
Right.
And that's where it is. I kind of, you know, lapsed on production after Libo passed away, because I haven't been really much open about that, but that's I felt a kind of way. He was a different energy to me,
Right.
and he made me see a lot of stuff in producing that brought my thinking of music to a different light. So when we were in constant communication throughout the whole dilemma and stuff like that, and his passing did a number. So I'm just trying to get back into it now.
Into it, right.
You know? Yeah.
Okay, so the timeline from church, cruise ship, or just being a musician and then production, like where does that fit in? Because I mentioned the ship and I mentioned production. I don't know if I did it in the. I don't know if I did it in the.
So
the
you
right
said
way.
it. You said it the right way. It was,
okay.
It was church, then church production. Actually, I did production before I went to the cruise ship.
Okay.
Church production, the cruise ships.
Yeah.
But that never stops though. Production never really stops until you decide to stop it. Because again, you'll be a musician, you'll play, and then you'll get tracks. The world, the software and stuff has taken us a long way into production, because Miguel's on the ship and I'm at home and we're still doing stuff. And you know, send stuff to this one, send stuff to that one. So it's made it a wider reach for us.
Yeah,
you
because
know?
I know I saw some clips of him playing.
Yeah. So it makes it a wider reach for us. Yeah.
So I mean, like, I know you guys get approached to do stuff on the ship. Is it like a good gig to keep you afloat in the industry?
It is a good gig. So what you make on a cruise ship, and if you translate it to our currency and stuff like that, and economy wise, it is profitable to do it, because if you're at home and you're a musician working at home on a nightly basis, where basically you'd work like 3 nights a week and stuff like that, I wouldn't call that a sustainable income.
Right.
You know, and that's another thing that's it affects me about home, where a musician is not even regarded as someone earning a salary. You know, it's hard to go to a bank to ask for a salary and this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Rightfully so, because we don't even have. There is something called the music business, and there is also an industry. And at home, we don't have an industry.
Yeah. So that's why a lot of people turn to the hotels.
They go to the hotels. You go to the hotels. Even there are musicians who try to find alternate jobs. You know, and I don't think it's fair that God's given you a gift and you have to find something else to do just because you need to sustain. So that I want us to fix in St. Lucia. In music industry, an industry is something that could bring in sustainable income. So you have musicians. A musician should be his own market. You understand? You're the product as a musician. Then you have the music manager. You have the producer. But beyond these people, you're talking about accountants who can't play music, but they're finance savvy, right? You know, and you're talking about you guys who are in the visual arts and stuff like that.
Yes.
You guys work in collaboration with artists and musicians as well. So it has to be an industry, an arts industry that is fully sustainable, where you ain't have to be chasing after this. Your royalties should be able to pay a check for you and to keep your children afloat after that and these kind of things. Right. So it's another thing that I'd like to plead for us to develop a structure, a very, very profitable structure in St. Lucia, where we have an arts industry that is an industry, not just we saying, oh, if it's not sustainable, let's not call it an industry.
Right.
You know, so we need to advocate for that as musicians, as artists, photographers, videographers, visual arts, any kind, dancers, all this. We need to have an umbrella where, hey, we get paid for that work, and we get to sit down and be more creative than having to try to run and find a 9-to-5 somewhere and then go do music or dance at night. You understand what I'm saying?
Makes sense.
Then we would develop more as artists, and we spend more time in the art than, you know, and they need to bring these things back to the schools as well. Yeah. You know, bring it to the schools and let children know, hey, not all of you could be musicians, but you could be a musician's accountant. Yeah. You know, you could tell him how to do his finances. You could be a lawyer for arts. Right. You know, so you're writing those contracts for those artists and these kind of things. It's an industry. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's an industry, and it's a very well survived industry all around the world. Jamaica has a music industry. When you hear a Jamaican artist boss, when they tell you an artist boss, he have his manager, he have his boys, and everything.
Yes, everybody
eats.
entourage
Why?
will bring.
Right, because there is a structure, and
So-
we need to do that at home.
So that being said,
Yeah.
any advice for the young people coming up? Because, you know, the young people are going to be the ones that are going to carry on the legacy of music when it comes to the carnival music or the soca, the reggae, everything St. Lucia produces.
Yeah.
The young people are going to be the ones carrying, choosing their genre, choosing, you know, what direction they want to go in. Sometimes they do something new. Look at how the Henry segment come in,
Yeah.
something new, you know? It was the younger people that came in and did it. So what advice do you have for these people coming up?
To any young aspiring artist, whether it be music, dance,
Listen, guys.
video, or anything,
Right.
spend the time to create your art, to make your art something that is you, unique to you, but marketable as well.
Yeah.
It's very important that whatever you're doing is marketable. If you're seeking to sustain yourself from it, seeking financial gain from it, seeking to earn a living from it, educate yourself in music business, art business. Educate yourself.
Yeah.
Don't be blindsided by a bottle of rum, a nice chain, and these kind of things. As an artist, you need to be able to sustain yourself, and educating yourself about the music business or whatever art business that you're into will help you understand and help you grow into sustaining yourself and stuff. Thirdly, if you're creating an image for you, if you're front of house, which is a performing artist, someone who's on the stage, create an image that doesn't say you're cheap.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
If people see you come on stage looking cheap, they're a cheap artist.
Yeah,
You sound good and thing, but you know, it's the glitz and glam has to get you to a standard. Or they say, fake it till you make it. Well, look good until you know you're able to buy, but always come on stage looking good. Your presence, you can't come on stage with an old t-shirt.
You have to be able to be, to be marketable. You have to be able to market yourself.
Exactly.
Right? You see, like, if you don't believe in your brand, because
Nobody
you
else
in
will
itself,
believe in
if
it.
you're doing something like that, if you are, like you said, the front of the house,
Yes.
you have to be able to market yourself. You have to be able to believe in yourself and just show up when people need you to. You know, the business side of it is very important. You know, before, like you said, you know, the chain, and then before anybody does anything, they want to
bling out.
go that right.
You know?
They want to bling out. You know, they want to just show out, and that in itself, yes, it'll make you look good. You know, and people like that looking good part.
Yeah.
But then it is a distraction
Man.
from the hard work that you need to continue to do. Even in my industry, you know, if you do something good, you push yourself to a certain level, some people stay there and they don't want to continue the climb. And really and truly, it's difficult to actually continue the climb because certain ages, people get families, people get things happening, and you want to continue because this is what you set yourself up for. You know, you want to be able to even if you fulfill your goals, some people have new goals, and you want to continue to go, you know, and still, you know, just do what you set out to do.
It's art, and there is always reinvention.
There's reinvention.
There is always reinvention. Every 10 years, something sounds different. Something changes. Styles change, dress change, everything, you know.
Right.
But the most important part of it, as an artist or anyone involved in that kind of industry, is staying humble and being meek to criticism. You need to understand that if you're trying to reach people, people need to be able to reach you. You need to be reachable for you to reach people. If your fans or music critics or promoters and stuff and can't come to you and be like, hey, listen, you should try this better, you should do this better, you should say this better, or try that point, bring this one out. You know, that kind of stuff. If no one could speak to you and you can be humble to criticism and stuff like that, you're not going to grow. Right. You're not going to grow because when you look in the mirror, all you can see is you, and you cannot pick. You're going to look beautiful to yourself all the time. But outside, they're the ones who are able to pick you out and say, hey, you have a little gray beard there. You want to keep it or you want to take it out? Right. You know, your t-shirt have a little thing there before you go on the stage. Let me fix that for you. If you cannot accept these little things, in your music, in your art. Hey, you know what, bro? That's a nice key for you to sing in. But I think you'd better execute it in that key. Let's try it.
Let's try that.
Unless you could accept those things, then you're not going to grow.
Now, being trainable is one thing, guys. Being trainable is one thing, because you're going to find in any industry that you're in, but we're talking about music here. You're going to find people that are going to gatekeep. They're going to have the gatekeepers. They might not even know they're doing it.
Yeah.
You know, but the young people are going to want information.
Yes.
For me, people come to me asking me for everything. I'm not saying I'm the best in the world, you know, but people come to me and asking me information. But what I tell people is, the journey is much more important. Is much more important than the result. Because somebody can come in and just give you information, all the information that you might need for one job or for one thing that they were trying to do.
Yeah.
And yes, you will get it done. You're the one doing the music. You're the one, if it's pictures or music, whatever. You're the one doing it. But have you learned?
That's the thing.
Have you learned? Yes, you can ask people questions. Yes, people can give you information. It goes both ways, you know? So, yeah, so people can gatekeep. People can ask questions.
Yes.
The gatekeepers need to find a way to give information the best way they can.
Let me tell you, there's nothing wrong in teaching people
your process and teaching how you learn.
There are certain secrets that will be yours, but let me tell you, the blueprint to every successful artist still remains the same. You know, the blueprint to a successful artist is the same. The blueprint to every business is the same.
Yes, yes.
Your process, your secret ingredient, that's what's yours.
Yeah.
And when I have something and someone wants to learn, or someone, hey, yo, you had them samples, I would share. You know, everybody talk about the cloud.
Yeah.
I call that human storage, because if I give it to you and my computer crash, I could come back and say,
bro,
that's it. So
I like that.
Don't be stingy about your stuff. Share stuff, share information, share products. Some things are too personal to share. And you want that's understood, but the stuff that's man, if I give it to you, give it to someone else.
Exactly.
Let's do the human storage thing. There's the cloud storage, there's virtual storage, and let's do human storage as well.
Human storage, I like that. I like that.
Share impact in people's growth.
But for me, I believe in sharing information. I believe in sharing what I know. But I believe in, you know, like going back to just saying being trainable. You have to be able to be trainable. As the younger people listening in and watching the show, you need to be trainable. You need to accept that some things you might be doing will not sound the best, will not look the best, but there's somebody with an experienced eye or an ear looking at it, you know, listening to it, and they will tell you. They might not tell you it in the best of ways, but they tell you that that is not good. You have to be able to be humble.
I say it all the time. It doesn't matter how talented you are. Everyone with a talent, every great artist, athlete, musician and stuff like that with a talent has a talent coach. Every great vocalist, Beyonce, Rihanna, all of them, they have a talent coach. Usain Bolt, fastest man in the world. He wasn't always the fastest man. He had a coach. There was a talent, but you have a talent coach. So being humble and being trainable, like you said, you have a coach, someone to direct you in the right path. Take it, but you need to be humble to and be willing to accept. That means you're trainable, and then you're going to get on the right path. The blueprint, like I said, the blueprint has been set. You just need someone to keep you on that right path and that right journey.
Sounds good. Well, guys, like I said, this is Stephen Mathurin, and I caught wind of this guy because actually his son is the cameraman right now. I don't know if he'll show his face.
That's my son right
but
there.
He said
he doesn't want to show his face, but
his son is the cameraman right now. He works. He is a member of Peaktime. He is part of the Peaktime Speaktime group, you know, and this is his father. And that's how, you know, just hearing different things about him, and because his son looks just like him, you know, people would ask, is that your father? You know, I cannot get tired of hearing it because I will hear it the next day, you know. So I caught wind of him. I love the story, you know, and I just from even last week, this guy, we were doing something in here and somebody asked me that's his father. And a few minutes later, he walks in. We didn't even know he was in St. Lucia, you know?
Yeah.
So I just figured I had to do it. And I hope you guys learned a lot from everything they had to say. You know, musicians that are coming up, musicians that have met him before. If y'all didn't know what he went through or whatever, you know, this was it. This is just a short snippet of it, you know.
Man. Yeah.
Guys, Peaktime Speaktime. Don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe. On Instagram, I am Bex Photo Pro. And if you, what's your Instagram handle?
My Instagram handle is TV_on_keys. That's it.
Stevie_on_keys. So if you want to check his page out, you check my page out. You check out the Peaktime Studio page. You guys book your photo shoots, you know, production, if you want to do anything, if you want to ask him any questions about music
I'm always
or
open.
anything, guys. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. This is Bex. This is Stevie. Peaktime Speaktime. We out.
Peaktime Speaktime. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.